Salutations, I hope you're doing well. Recently, I had one of my subscribers encourage me to do more videos of me speaking. And when I did so, I actually gained another subscriber. So I would have to take that as a sign from the universe that maybe I should do that. I've been meditating a little bit on exactly what I should talk about. I mean, there's a whole bunch of videos on people like this guitar and that, and I don't want to do all that. But I did figure, obviously, there are some glaring oddities in the way I'm going about things, and some of the things I'm passionate about definitely lead to a certain conclusion, I would say. So I thought today, if you're interested, I will tell you how I ended up where I am right now, why I am doing this, and why I am passionate about the things that I am passionate about. So I'm still getting used to being on camera. But I did, want to make a appearance. But I'm going to try to swing this down, and I'm going to do my monthly string change on my guitar. So, like I said, if you guys want to stick around and hear that tale and watch me, hopefully I don't mess this up. I've never done this in front of anybody before, so there's an extreme likelihood that I could make a mistake, but that's okay. And if you guys are listening to the rest of it, you'll be alright with that. We on camera and everything. Yeah, that's probably close enough for this. Okay. Level and all that. Alright, it probably took longer than it should, but that's okay. So, in 2017, my father was a truck driver and my mother was on the road with him. Since no one was at their house, they had asked me and my fiance to live there and take care of the house and the bills and the dog and, mow the yard and just tend to things. And, in exchange, we didn't have to pay any rent or anything like that. And it was a pretty good deal. So we moved out here. We were doing that. I thought it was working out pretty well. Well, I did not know at the time, but their neighbor was a confidential informant for the state police. And I'm not sure, I do live in Kentucky, and I'm not sure if you've heard about the corruption in such matters, but it is real and it is prevalent. But, so I guess he ran out of people that were actually doing things to turn in for. So he decided that he was going to, I just referred to it as being set up. But I believe nowadays they refer to it as swatting. But either way, he decided that he was $300 was worth ruining my life. So they ran in on me and I got arrested. And then while I was gone, he planted a bunch of stuff and then called them again. And so they went back and gave me more charges. So I ended up doing 19 months total in county jail through all this trial and fighting that and all stuff. Because I was more than happy to take it to trial. Because I was like, yeah, I can't wait for you guys to explain all this to anybody else that isn't part of it. So, I was talking, she did end up leaving me about halfway through. But for the first half, my fiance was still hanging with me and all that. And so during our phone conversations, we talked about, some personal things. I mean, I knew it was being recorded. It wasn't nothing crazy. Well, to be completely candid with you, I have alluded to this in a different video. But I do have dreams and visions, and I do receive knowledge. I'm not going to be weird about it. I'm not trying to, be a spiritualist or what have you, but that is the case. And me and her were talking about that, and they used that to say that I was incompetent to stand trial. So that way, they would not have to take it to trial and explain themselves, and I wouldn't have a chance to tell my story. And since I was, quote unquote crazy, then nobody would believe me after I got out either. So it was 2019. I finally got released on my own. I was too crazy to stand trial, but they released me on my own recognizance. I actually ended up having to walk 30 miles back to my property. Come out of there, string. Fortunately, I had enough foresight to invest in land before all that happened, so I did have a place to go, but it's not developed in the sense that it doesn't have electric or water on it or anything like that. So when I first got out, I had to stay upstairs back where I was living when I got arrested. And so it took me about 6 months, but at least I will say, luckily, due to the fact that they did declare me incompetent, I was able to get disability because nobody was going to hire me with that being the case. And so, like I said, fortunately I applied, and it's kind of rare to actually get it, but again, I was considered myself blessed during the thing. But like I said, I was told through certain means that I was not going to have to suffer any consequences for what they had done, and that was the case. Like I said, none of the charges stuck. I was too crazy to be guilty, and they let me go. So after I finally got on disability, I was able to get the motorhome in which I am speaking to you from now. And I had that on my property. I would get, drinking water and teeth brushing water and all that in jugs and carry it. And then, toilet water and stuff, I would just get out of the creek that ran over there. And I didn't have internet for a long time. I just play offline video games and play my guitar. Actually, when I got out, that's all I had to my name was my guitar, my amp, and my property. So fortunately, I just had, I did have stuff to keep me occupied, although it's, not necessarily what you'd be used to in that. It was going back a few years back, but that's all right. It's think of it as a long-term camping trip. But so this goes on for 3 to 4 years, and then my dad is diagnosed with cancer. By the time they found it was pancreatic cancer, by the time they found out, he was already stage 4. So it was like, it was literally the doctor's like, hey, get ready to die. And so, to be completely honest, I didn't really like the dude. I don't miss him or anything like that. Just to be completely honest, he was a piece of shit. But I do believe it is morally reproachable to allow anything to suffer. And they asked for my help with him. He got to, because he was stubborn and he was still going to do stuff, and then he'd fall, so somebody'd have to pick him up. So I moved the motorhome over to their property, and obviously eventually he passed. And now my mother is in her early 70s and not in great health. So fate and circumstances have led to where I live in the backyard of my mother's property. It's not as much in the woods as my property is, but it's still in the middle of the woods. Delivery drivers get nervous occasionally, if that tells you how far out I am. But I haven't had a social media at all. I have, you can't even find me on the internet at all by searching my name. You still can't by searching my government name, because none of you guys know that yet. Or maybe never at all, who knows. But I mean, obviously, now that I'm being on YouTube and stuff, you'll be able to find me, but I don't have a phone. I never had a phone the whole time, and I still don't have a phone. I mean, I'm recording this on a phone, but it doesn't have a SIM card. It's basically a miniature tablet. And, see, what are the other key details? And the best detail is that the guy that set me up, it was actually just 2 months ago, he got arrested, and his bond is currently $1.25 million. So, and he got hit with PFO, which is Kentucky's version of career criminal. So he's not going anywhere. As to whether I will, receive justice for my situation, I've just went ahead and resided the fact that, probably not. I mean, if something, hey, you never know, if something happens and he does, I'll gladly take it. But also, I'm not really, now that I know he's gone and I know that he can't mess up anybody else's life, I'm cool with it. But I will say, so why I'm so, big on like budget stuff, like, can you do this on a budget for cheap and like you don't need all the stuff, is because, I mean, I ain't got nothing until quite recently, through there's been reductions in certain payments I have to make, and there's been raises in my the amount of the check I get, and other little cutbacks I've made. I've been able to save money, and I'm doing a little better off. I'm getting a little better all the time, but I know for a fact that music can change and possibly even save your life. When I was locked up, I had a radio, and there was another guy in there that liked the same kind of music I did, and man, I burnt the earbuds out of that thing. I don't know how many hours I put on that. And then, like I said, when I got out, the only thing I had was my guitar and, a couple movies. You can only watch the same movie a few times, so I just played guitar and tried to learn what I could and get as good as I could, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really worried about. I want to be good enough people take me seriously, but like, I'm not trying to be Steve Vai or anybody. I like to play the things that I enjoy listening to, and if other people also enjoy listening to that, then that's pretty cool. But you know, music, unfortunately, there is a barrier to entry. You got you have to have an instrument to play an instrument. I mean, depending on what you're doing, we don't have to have $1 million Stradivarius, but you might have to come up with $200. And for some people, for me up until recently, that's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I try to support companies that try to support artists and small time little gig people and stuff like that. And I try to make sure that everybody knows that it doesn't matter what you have or what situation you're in, that you can still persevere and come out on top. And I don't know, I feel like I'm starting to ramble a little bit about that. But yeah, so that's it. If you're still hanging in here and you're interested about anything else, I did talk to my ex-fiance after I got out. We hung out some, and we just both pretty much agreed that there's way too much history. I mean, we were together for almost 10 years. So with everything that happened, and a relationship just wasn't going to work. But we still, well, I haven't spoke to her about 2 years, but it wasn't on bad terms or nothing. It was just like, we were just on friend status. But I did get to go to a concert because her and her boyfriend broke up and they had tickets. I got to go see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. That was awesome. And so, I mean, she calls like, hey, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. And I'm saying a lot. I told myself I wasn't going to be one of the and people, but I did notice I've been doing it a little bit. There really is a difference between, talking on camera and trying to record this. I know they say just be natural, but I swear that might be impossible. At least for me. I don't know. Like I said, I really have a lot of respect for people that are just able to do this. When I started this, I, t- I turned on the camera and I sat there going, "Hey guys," I probably said it 20 times, and then and then just had to stop it and start over because it was going to be too long to try to crop out. So I'm still getting the hang of things, but oh, okay, here I can add this into it while I'm going over this. So why am I doing this? Why did I start doing this? Like I said, I don't even leave the property. Uh, my mom goes to the grocery store. Everything I need, I order online. Actually, we don't even go to the grocery store because Walmart started delivering out here. So, I haven't left the property in years. I don't go to the doctor. I've talked to a couple people online here and there, over the years. But as far as I haven't really hung out with anybody in person. I've been, for all intents and purposes, I've been a ghost. I was just, trying to get over all the stuff that I'd been through and make sure that I was heading in a direction that I felt good about and what have you. So then I did start having, I never stopped having the dreams, but they were about other stuff. Maybe we'll get into that one day, we'll see. But either way, and they were about me playing guitar and upgrading my equipment and starting YouTube. So I was actually saving my money because I'm not unhappy, but no, I don't want to live in a motor home in the back of my mother's yard for the rest of my life. If I had another choice, I definitely would not choose this. But I'm not unhappy either. I don't walk around grumbling or whatever. I try to be cheerful and what have you. Uh, oh, long silence. That's not good for videos. So I got to make sure I don't do that. That's one thing I haven't done yet. I'll have to make sure that I don't start doing that. But but it is what it is, and I've been doing pretty good with doing the best with what I got, and I want to make sure that everybody else knows that they can, and it's okay to as well. But I hope I covered everything because I'm not doing this over. And if I have no idea how long it is at this point, but you've seen the guitar strung before, so I'll probably go ahead and finish this and then, let you get on about your day. But if you're one of the people that's heard me tell you thank you 1,000 times, maybe, hopefully now you understand a little bit better why I am so grateful. Because, I literally crawled out of the woods and expecting somebody to just listen to me. But I'll be damned if they didn't. So, thank you guys.